Hey everyone, this is Mike with 30A, and this is our Beach Happy podcast. This is where we not only bring you interesting stories from the coast here in Florida, but we also try to inspire you with stories that we find about individuals who are really living the life they've imagined. They're pursuing their dreams, their passions, and as a result, they're living happier, healthier lives. And ultimately, we want to inspire each of you to pursue happiness, whether that happiness is found through a simple walk on the beach, or whether it's found through doing good in this world, or whether it's found through you pursuing a passion. Ultimately, that's what the Beach Happy Show is all about. And I'm very honored today to be joined by my friend Scott Lassiter. Scott is also known as DJ30A. But Scott, before we jump into what it is to be a DJ, because I think there's a lot more to it than most people realize. Tell me a little bit about your background, because I know your background, your first career, I guess, was pretty dramatically different than spinning tunes as a DJ.
Correct. I was actually in the Special Forces in the Marine Corps. So I was in there for 6 years, and I was in a small company called Small Craft Company. And what they did was they took the good swimmers out of a basic infantry platoon, and they taught us how to drive all the speedboats in the Marine inventory. And we specialize in what's called groundwater raids, which are just quick hit raids from the ocean or from riverine to the actual shore. So it was going from that to what I'm doing now is totally night and day. But my experiences from traveling all over Europe and South Africa, South America, was I was exposed to a lot of different types of music, a lot of different types of culture. And I think that still bleeds with some of my production work now. So super grateful. And also just spending time with a lot of people, fellow Marine brothers all over the United States. I was getting music. My first actual exposure to actual, what we called it techno back then, but now it's called EDM, was some guys from Brooklyn that went to the Tunnel and went to all the New York clubs. They exposed me to that type of music for the first time. So I have to call them actually after this to give them thanks. So I just kind of put two and two together. But Errol Mercado was the first one that actually exposed me to what I call dance music now. But yeah.
And since then, you've been building a career as a DJ, but not just a lot of people see when they think of a DJ, they think of nightclubs and they think of that guy, standing up in front of the crowd behind the console. But really, there's so much more to the business as you work to navigate how to monetize music in this digital age. So, for example, I mean, yes, all locals know you because you're routinely playing events, whether it's at the Pearl, Havana Beach in Rosemary Beach. I know you've got some upcoming things, like I think you're going to be doing Fish Out of Water, right, at Watercolor.
That's
yeah, and so I know we're all in this strange COVID pregnant pause, but when that picks back up, I assume you're going to be back on stage, not only at Fish Out of Water, but back at the Pearl as well.
Correct. Yeah, I'll be starting my 4th year at the Pearl, and that's the only dedicated night on 30A for just traditional house music, like Chicago, Detroit style house music. The type of house music I play on those nights depends on what city is here on vacation at the moment, because everything's kind of cyclic down here, especially during spring break. But it's a good, if you want a good laid back ultra lounge experience, the Pearl or the Foo would fit that bill, because not everybody wants to hear a band right off the bat. They want to have happy hour, little live music, live DJ. So you get the best of both worlds. You can come hear me early, 6 to 10, and then leave and go hear some of my great live artists here we have locally.
Yeah, and so that's the side that people, I think, would know you and would know any DJ. The other side of the business is that you're in the studio and not only creating music, but you're also negotiating with even streaming services, big box chains, potential sponsors, and tell me, you, for example, didn't you just license some stuff to some major retail big box stuff? How does that work?
Well, I use a distribution company, and they're actually they actually champion me and my music to big box vendors or buyers of music that say when you go into Gap or Old Navy, some of my songs that fit a certain criteria, they'll put me on that playlist, and it's super competitive. So they'll want a song. I'll give you a great example. One of the things going on now in the streaming world is they're looking for songs that uplift. So when this pandemic is over, when you walk into a Gap or Old Navy, the songs there are going to be uplifting for everybody in the store. So right now, artists like me are submitting, around the world, are submitting to these buyers of music for streaming sites to get your song on that uplifting playlist to say Gap or Old Navy or any of the stores like that would actually play. So you do get streaming revenue from that. And I won't say the name of the company online, but it's pretty hard to get into. And it took me about 2 years to actually pin them down and take me on as a client. So I'm super happy with that.
And so that opens up new doors. So as now, say you're doing weddings and you're operating events locally and happy hours. But this is a side of the business that a lot of people don't know about. So, once you're creating albums, of course, you're trying to sell them to consumers, but you're also selling them as much as possible to corporate entities. How difficult is that to do?
Really, it's all about just every day looking at the opportunities out there and just submitting your music. And I fell victim to actually seeing an opportunity that I want to be part of and actually making a song for that opportunity. For example, a jingle. So they wanted a reggae song. The first time I dipped into a reggae song, I actually made one for it. I thought it turned out great. I played it to some of the big local reggae artists here. They gave me the thumbs up. I submitted it and they approved it. So that'll be like instant revenue. So that's something I actually went after. So back then when I first started producing, you sit down with an idea in your head and you sit there and make it as best as you can, fit what's going on, the melody in your head. And now what I'm seeing now that streaming sites are asking for specific song genres, is you sit down, all right, I'm making a reggae song today. This is the client. This is what I'm trying to fit for. So it's not like you're really making a song for soul. You're making a song to fit a moment. So it's almost, again, you're not writing from the heart per se. You're just writing for a jingle, like you would hear on the radio station for people to go shop to. And usually there's no words to it. Sometimes I'll hire a singer to come in and lay down like a top line for me, or hire one online and they'll do everything remotely. But for the most part, the writing the songs and going after the opportunity, that's where we're getting our money right now. Buying a CD or buying a download now is, no one does that anymore. And the streaming, you have to have literally millions and millions of streams to actually make it to where you're resting your hat on that. So you have to be very creative on getting those licensing opportunities. And that's for any band that's wanting to branch out of their local area. You have to focus on the licensing part of it now. Point blank, period. Unless you're just doing it straight for the heart and straight to go tour around the local market. But if you want to get out nationally and want to make a career out of it, you have to get some income coming in, some revenue streams coming in. What I found is having the streaming revenue, having the licensing revenue, having the booking revenue, it all makes like a perfect blend where you can actually make a living being an artist these days.
Mm-hmm. And how many years have you been doing this?
I've been doing music. A funny story, my mother put me in music school when I was about 12, and I started out on guitar, and she would literally have to go with me to what she called juke joints in Lower Alabama. She would have to go with me. I was at this point like 17, playing bars, and she would be standing right beside me. And I was playing rhythm guitar and sometimes lead guitar in bands around Dothan, Enterprise, Alabama, for a lot of the Army pilots and whatnot. But that was mainly an Army type town, even Dothan back then. So that's what started me in music. And then I took a break for 6 years in the Marines where I didn't really pick up any instrument. And then once I got out, I got into telecom and communications, started college, and it just gradually came back to me. To supplement my income and my GI Bill in Atlanta, I was in school, as I DJ'd literally all the clubs in Atlanta. If you named it, I probably played it. And there was a 24-hour club there, and I had the 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. shift. So if you can imagine the clientele that I had there. What that did is I never knew who my crowd was going to be. So I had to have this is back when you played vinyl records. So you didn't walk in with a computer. So whatever you brought to the venue that day, that's what you were stuck playing. And if you've ever carried record bags to do a 5-hour DJ set, I mean, you're making multiple trips to the car. So what it did was it taught me how to be a Swiss Army knife in the land of DJing. So, and I think that's what maybe sets me apart around here locally is you're not going to hear a traditional DJ set when you hear me. You're going to hear me play depending on who's in front of me and the energy I'm getting from the people that's in front of me. So I think I can play any style of music, and I personally get enjoyment out of the thrill of not knowing who's going to be in front of me and making them dance. That's what makes me super happy and super into what I'm doing right now.
So now I've heard this, so tell me if this is wrong, but you hear about these DJs in Las Vegas, in Miami, commanding $1 million, per gig type paychecks. And at first sound, that seems unusual, but according to my brother and different people in the business, it's totally worth it for the bar owners because they are so adept at reading the crowd that when the bartenders are not busy, they can change the mood of the room and force people to the bar. And the minute the bar starts to back up, they can change the mood and bring people back to the dance floor. Is that true?
That is absolutely true. My brother owns a bar in Panama City Beach, Splash. I know a lot of great DJs locally that played LaVille and Spinnaker back in the heyday. If you've ever got the dance floor super packed, and I know a lot of the people hearing this might think this is a not cool move, but it's just you have to do it. If the dance floor is super packed, you always play a song to get everybody to the bathrooms, to the bar, get the bar full again, and then you pull everybody right back into the dance floor. We call it the Pied Piper move, but it totally works, and you have to do that just for like ebb and flow and logistics of the club itself. The big thing with the Las Vegas DJs and what we call the festival DJs, they're not just DJs, they're actually DJs and producers. So I'm going to throw one out there. Calvin Harris, who's one of the top earning DJs of the past 5 years, he has a residency in Las Vegas. He commands 6 figures plus a gig. If he's doing festivals, more than that. He's known for his production work. So when you go hear him actually DJ, he's playing his own music that he made. So that's why he's getting that big bucks. He has a very distinct style. It's very hard to replicate. So when you go see him, you're going for that Calvin Harris experience. I would equate it to like a band, like a one-person band. Like who's somebody we could use? Say a Sheryl Crow concert. You're going to see her play her music. She wrote it. And with the producers these days, we're actually writing, producing in our studios. So it's the same type stuff. Like I think what we're seeing over the past 4 or 5 years is electronic music and music that's made from a one-person show is getting, I think, the respect it's getting, and appropriately so. They're getting the respect of the money that they're due because it is a lot of hard work. And you have to spend a lot of time not being cool, cooped up in your room, reading manuals and doing a lot of trial and error to get your distinct sound. And not to mention, most of the DJs / producers absolutely can play multiple instruments. So they're taking that music theory, which you have to have, and translating it into being like an audio engineer from their own home or bedroom or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. So you have currently 9 songs on the Beatport 100. You're third in downloads in 2019 and 2020. I mean, that's pretty extraordinary given how many composers I have to imagine are out there vying, competing for that.
Yeah.
Is that something that you just, persistence, or what are you doing to kind of get your music out there in that way?
Well, I specialize in a genre called breakbeat, and it's more of like if you're not familiar with dance music subgenres, it was made popular pretty much. It's a James Brown type drum to it. It's dance music, but it's got that poppy snare to it. So you're getting 2 snares per measure. So it sounds like that poppy little James Brown funky drummer roll, which we're very familiar with after visiting Red Bar so many times. But that right there, the Beatport, that is DJs buying that. So to be placed highly up there and to have 9 songs charting right now in the top 100 in breaks, that means there's a lot of breakbeat DJs worldwide buying my stuff. And it makes me feel good because I'm consistently sitting up there with my co-production partner, Huda Hudia, who's pretty much a legend in the scene. And he's been doing this and touring worldwide for about 20 years now. So having DJs actually buy my stuff and play it out, just when I'm scheduled in the studio and stuck and then maybe having a bad day or just having like a writing block. I just think that once I make this song, once I put in the proper amount of effort, I'm going to have DJs playing this in, say, Russia or whatnot. And that's what gets me going.
Yeah, and I follow you, of course, and everyone should go to DJ30A.com and follow Scott on his numerous channels. But you always are writing for the moment and the topic. So you currently have a quarantine playlist, and you're always kind of looking at the mood, not just of your audience in the room, but the mood perhaps of the world in general.
So let me tell you a funny story about that quarantine mix. This was right when we first got the original like lockdown or lock in place order. And I just posted something on my Facebook page, and I heard back from Logan. I just told him, hey, give me a song that either you want to hear or it's appropriate, like song title wise or lyric content wise, it fits what we're going through right now. I think I had over 200 locals over 2 posts that gave me requests. I mean, I had one of my personal favorites, Donnie Sundell, send one of his songs over, and I included that, which I don't know if you know this. I used to follow him around like a fanboy from the Hub to Pandora's. I actually opened for him one night at Pandora's. It was one of the best moments I've had down here playing live. But I had Paul Hunter from Great and Fitness send a song over. I had so many locals I haven't spoken to, sometimes in over a year, reach out to me to play their song and put it in a mix format that they would listen to while they're cleaning or playing with their kids outside. Made me feel really good. That really did. If I had a highlight about what we're going through right now, if there is a highlight, it would be giving something back to all the locals for that. It was really nice.
Well, I think another highlight would have to be, I mean, anybody who knows anything about this genre of music knows who Crystal Method is. And, I used to listen to, the pioneering sounds of those guys. And then you did I guess a remix of what it was, Ghost in the City.
Ghost in the City. I did that. They did not give me approval to do it. It was called a bootleg in DJ terms. I made that song just so I could play it at my personal gigs. I gave it to a guy that I'm friends with over in the UK. His name is Glenn Nichols, and he's a breakbeat artist from way back in the day. My partner and I booked him in Atlanta back when we were still throwing events, EDM events 10 years ago, and we've stayed in touch. I sent it over to him to listen to, and so he could play out. That's pretty common in the DJ world, is just to send bootlegs to your close friends, and no one sends it out. I did not know that Scott from the Crystal Method books him to do audio engineer work for him on the side. So he sent it to the Crystal Method, Scott Kirkland. Scott loved it and contacted me and said, hey, I want to put this out. So somehow it ended up back up in Scott's hands. And then long story short, Scott and I hit it off, and he released a song. I think we have over 100,000 unique listeners to that song since November, which compared to what I usually get is like night and day. So I'm super appreciative for that. And to tie it back into the 30A area, Scott's wife is born and raised in Freeport. So he was down at this Thanksgiving visiting and called me up and said, hey, man, I'm in your neighborhood. So long story short, she's born and raised. And when she first saw the cover art, she said, DJ30A, wait, hold on a second. Is that 30A where I actually grew up? So Scott didn't put 2 and 2 together, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together until all the parties met up and we saw the cover art and whatnot. So
now I think we have a Scott Lassiter Crystal Method party down here soon. As soon as the COVID situation passes, we need to make that happen.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. They are breakbeat, and it's called Big Beat and Breakbeat Pioneers, and that's probably one of the first CDs and first full-length LP albums I ever bought on vinyl. And I've probably seen them, I would say, 10 times live. So to be able to release under their label and to officially do one of their songs is amazing for me. Yeah. It's literally the equivalent of if you like, say, Dave Matthews, being able to cover Dave Matthews Band and him putting it on one of his albums. It's for me, it's really big.
So for someone who is an aspiring DJ, they're a young person or an old person, and they are, savvy enough to where they're able to make their own music. You're doing probably over 150 events a year, not just weddings and bachelorette parties, but you're doing local venues. you're doing licensing, you're doing, you're creating targeted songs, and then you're also putting things out there just in the universe. You're popping off random things and trying to get picked up. What advice, looking back over the last few years of your development, what advice would you give to someone who's just getting started? They're making their own music, they believe in it, they have a passion for it, but they kind of don't know. They're great at making the music, but they don't really know the marketing and business side of it. What advice would you give that person?
That's advice I can give. On your social medias, no one wants to work with a complainer ever. No, in order to get bigger than what you're at right now, you have to network with people you do not know at the current moment. So in order to get people attracted to you and attracted to what you're doing, get behind you, no one's going to choose to spend time with a complainer. No one's going to choose to spend time with somebody that's a liability on their socials. So always be respectful. Always listen to people when they have an idea to share with you. Always be nice. And if you're nice, people will get behind you and want to support you and lift you up and rally behind you. Lord knows I've got a great support team, even through what we're going through right now. Like the support team I surround myself around is just amazing. So number one, surround yourself with good people. Always be nice. Really treat your personal socials as it's part of your brand. And as far as the DJing aspect or the production aspect of it, specialize in something. If you want to be a DJ, you should know your equipment back and forth, and you should know all types of music. And you should really not look at the people in your area to emulate off of. You really need to find somebody that's on a national circuit and listen to how they're DJing. And what I'm seeing is you're getting a lot of DJs coming up now that did not learn on the analog vinyl records or the CDJs. They're using pretty much controller boards. And there's a lot of cheat methods on there where you're letting the software work for you. And when you go out live, you can hear it. Like when they're mixing one record into the next, the level's this level is at 60%. They're mixing to a song that's at 100% volume. And people on the dance floor just really, you can hear that. It takes away the energy. Not playing the same set all the time. I see a lot of DJs locally that they'll go to a nightclub and play their wedding sets, songs that you would play like at a wedding reception. So just getting out there, and just because we're on 30A and we're a small little beach community doesn't mean you can't bring worldwide sound and music to everyone. Now that Spotify, YouTube, Pandora is out there popular, you really need to step up your music knowledge if you're a DJ. You have to be able to play to everyone. You have to know reggae, you have to know rap, you have to know rock.
So it sounds like your approach then is a little different, in that like there are some people, let's say like you talk about a Sheryl Crow or whatever, or somebody who their mission is they're putting out a particular sound. They're really focusing on that brand. And the other option, though, is to do what you're doing, is to read the room, whether that room is a group in a bar, or whether it's a bachelorette party, or whether it's a global audience. It's kind of reading the room and crafting music that room wants to hear. So what percentage of DJs would you say fall into I'm the star and people are going to be drawn to me, versus the type of DJ that you're talking about, which is really writing music for the environment and the circumstances?
Yeah, that's a great question. For example, I've got about 300 songs out that I've produced. I mean, by no means, people do not come to say, when you go out around locally, people are not coming to see you per se. They're coming to have a good time. So you're not there to stroke your ego or whatnot. You're there to actually move feet. So you have to be prepared to do it. I would say the people that can go and play whatever they want are that Calvin Harris, that literally top 5% maybe, where people are actually buying a ticket with your name on it. But if you're playing like a nightclub circuit and you're playing what's called open format, meaning you can play, when you go show up, you have no idea what you're going to play. You're literally reading the room, a true open format DJ, like a DJ Jazzy Jeff from the Fresh Prince. He's one of the best open format DJs in the world. When he shows up, you have no idea what he's going to play. He's a total room reader. To me, that's a DJ. If you're a one genre DJ, say if you're a house music DJ and that's all you know how to play, you're going to fall on your face if you play where I play. You have to be able to play all types of stuff. You have to know all the new songs that come out in rap, all the new songs come out with like a reggae or dub type influence. You have to be able to really fit in to what crowd is presented to you that night. So the people that can write their own ticket and play pretty much whatever they feel like, we're talking about a super, super small percentage. And if you want to be, I'm going to throw a weird subgenre out there to you. If you want to be a dubstep DJ, which is a very 65 beat per minute, very loud, bass heavy genre, you're not getting, number one, you're not going to get any gigs around here. No one's going to book you. And two, if you do lucky enough to get a gig, you're going to clear the room out. It's just not relatable to where we live and where
in this area, right?
Correct. Even if you get booked in Atlanta, it's not really relevant like that.
So for someone who is passionate about this, they see you, they see others, and they say, man, that's what I want to do. How much money as a startup, if you're just going to have the basic setup to be producing music at home and recognizing your time is worth something, but not factoring your time, how much can you spend and get started in this career?
Basic studio setup, you need a quality laptop with a lot of hard drive and RAM on there. Apple or PC. I'm a PC guy, and I'm probably the only PC producer that I know. But I've just always worked off of them, and my workflow is very, very quick by using the PC. But you need a great startup computer, let's say $1,000. You need great monitors, about $700 to start out with, and what's called a controller board. It's a slave keyboard, and it works all of your software off your digital audio workstation, which is called a DAW. I use Ableton, and Ableton comes with a lot of software synthesizers that your slave controller board can operate, a lot of drum machines, and obviously dance music. You can sample a door shutting, and you can use that as like a clap. You can get super creative. And because of Reddit and because of YouTube, there are so many free tutorials that'll take you from ground zero of knowing nothing to having a completed song. And then it's all about refining and making all of your processes more streamlined, and also just more quality. For example, there's a website called Udemy, and it's like $10 courses, and it's people like me that'll make a class, and it'll take a beginner through chapters, and it'll take them from start to finish. And when you're finished with that class, you'll have a completed song. The song might not be great, but you have a song. And then you'll get better and better as you go through it. So I would say $1,500, you can make the investment and start producing on a basic level. And the first year, you're going to sound like trash. But again, you're creating, and that's going to give you the light in the tunnel to keep going if it really is your passion.
It really is difficult. It's a wonderful time to be an entrepreneur and to be a content creator because of the amazing tools that we have at our disposal and the amazing ability for wild card things to happen, such as sending a track to somebody in Great Britain and it happening to get right into the precise ear that you want it to get into through viral means. That said, for someone who is starting this endeavor, really not just this endeavor, but any business startup, what I find is that as a creative person, it's very easy to get excited about the creative process because that's the fun part, creating the vibe, whether that's music or whether it's writing a book or whether it's writing a short story or producing a short creative video. That's the fun part. Where a lot of people who are passionate about the subject matter fall short is the work begins at that point, because now you have a product. And if you don't monetize that product, it was all just an exercise in creative frivolity. So, like what % of your time is spent creating versus trying to monetize?
I want to use you as an example. You sent out a post. I think it was the first time you had a few pages sent over from your illustrator when you had your comic written. Was it last year or year before?
That was, it's been about a year and a half now.
So when I first got that, when I saw your post, that motivated. So I'm good friends with Justin Lyons. When I see his paintings, that gives me usually song ideas. Then when I saw some of your first illustrations that you had shared to your Facebook family, that motivated me and it gave me a few ideas. And I think I actually contacted you. That was in the middle. I was making a down-tempo album, and that it kind of fit with that. So one of the songs I actually wrote after that, I kind of used one of the pages to kind of like go off of. So I could get motivation pretty much at anything. And my biggest friend when it comes to creating is the notes on my iPhone. If you were to read through there, you'd probably think I might be clinically insane. But I have like a shorthand that I write my notes on. So when I come back the next day and I read it, and it might be song lyrics, it might be like a vocal pattern in my head where I just like hum it out into my phone. But I'll go back and revisit that. And to me, that's fun, is having ideas, and I keep a little notepad, and then revisiting it a day later once I've had time to process it, and then try to go in the studio and kind of emulate it and see if that idea was just me not having a fair amount of coffee yet in the morning, or was it something I can actually build upon. But seeing people create around me makes me want to create. So, there's a book that made me move down here. And I think you and I have talked about this before, just a 4-hour work week.
Yes.
That book made me move here, period. And one of the things they share in that book was surround yourself with people that are like-minded, entrepreneurial spirit, creators. If you're good at something, that should be your wheelhouse. If you're not good at something, sub it out, and you're going to make yourself more productive in what you're good at. And that's why I have some people that I co-produce with, because one of my specialties is actual riffing and coming up with the structure of the song. And my partner, Dan, is a drum and sound design machine. He knows how to make all the frequencies in the song work to where it actually works with the sound system. So if I'm hitting something that's heavy at, say, a certain frequency, we're going to have that kick to where they're not interacting and taking away the sub-push from each other. So there's a lot of tech geek stuff that I'm not good at. I'm more of a natural ripper and musician, and he's more of like on the computer, and he can make the sound design just work and pop smooth. So surrounding yourself with people that just make you want to get in that studio and create, to me, is, I think, one of the biggest things I have going for me. And the support team.
That's super important. I'm glad you brought up the 4-hour work week. It's why I moved to the beach as well. Like, no kidding. And also did our around the world travels, et cetera. So, and I know that, you and I were talking about traveling, and then you popped down to Mexico City and did some travels and everything. And, I love this kind of environment where you get in and you keep inspiring and pushing each other, to do more and more cool stuff and creative things. So hopefully there are fans out there who are seeing this, and even if they're not musicians, they will pick up this contagiousness that we all catch as creative, passionate people, and they'll go out and pursue their passion and pursue happiness. Because I would wager that your career path could have gone many different directions following being in special forces. You could have gone any number of ways, but so to pick something that you're truly passionate about and to be able to make a living doing that, whether it's, music or surfing or, cooking, to be able to follow your passion really is one of the great revelations and epiphanies that when you have it, you begin to realize it's better to make $20,000 a year doing something I truly love than $200,000 a year doing something I hate. And I think that many more people are starting to come into that realization, and especially under the current situation that we're in, where we're reprioritizing what's important in our lives. So it really is kind of fun to speak to people like you who have done that. And I think there's a lot of fans who want to know, how, or not just know how to do it, but that it's possible. I think once they see it's possible, it's very energizing. It's
the easiest that I've ever seen to be your own person, be your own business and your own brand. It is the easiest I've ever seen it right here, right now. Especially down here on 30A. For whatever reason, 30A is just a magnet for self-starters and people that really take control of themselves being happy.
Well, I think, I've said this before, but, if there's one word that I had to use to describe this area, it's not a word that people would normally pick, and it's design. And the reason I picked that is because, there are plenty of places to get the incredible beach views that we enjoy here. There are plenty of places that share similar water and similar sand. But for some reason, this, Robert Davis and the other planned communities, there was design that went into the thought about how the communities work. Then there was architectural design and interior design. I think that people who were attracted to this area were intrinsically attracted to design. Like they may not know that that's what it is, but they like this better than they like Daytona or Destin or Cancun. They just like the way that it feels. Well, I think we're now entering the phase of lifestyle design, and as you know, through Tim Ferriss's books, that this is an era where suddenly you can design the life you want to live. So I think there's a lot of people here who were attracted because like we get here and it's like, man, this feels kind of cool. This feels right. We may not know that that's why we like this area better than say Panama City or better than, Navarre. We just know that for whatever reason, this appeals to us. And I think now to your point is we're all practicing our craft, whether we are public speakers or whether we are artists or musicians, we're kind of experimenting with how to create the life you've imagined and the life you want to live. And so I'm hoping others in Atlanta, Birmingham, Nashville, Memphis, if you take nothing else away from this, recognize that here are two examples sitting right in front of you right now who are living very different lives and who made just suddenly lifestyle decisions and move to an area where we just picked up and did it. And now, I think we're doing something we're both passionate about. And it is very possible in this day and age to do.
Yeah, I had a call center in Woodstock, right outside of Atlanta. And I had a dealership agreement with Kennesaw State University where they would send their business students to my call center. I did that for about 6 years, and I just was not happy. My commute was about an hour one way. I would start with a big mug of coffee. By the time I got to work, till the call center opened up, it would be cold. I was just like, this isn't for me. I grew up about an hour from here, right outside of Dothan, and I just had to be by the water. I was always around the water in the Marines, and the 10 years I spent in Atlanta was just, even though I love Atlanta, go Falcons, go Braves, but I just was not happy living in a concrete type jungle. So I moved down here. I gave everyone 6 months notice at the call center. This is after I read Tim Ferriss's book. I gave everybody 6 months notice, closed the call center down. I semi-retired down here doing call center stuff on the side, just enough to keep my residuals going, and I was totally happy. And then still that didn't give me any I still was not happy. It just wasn't my calling to keep doing that. So I had a little bit of doubt about moving down here, and I went down to the beach. It was Friday the 13th. This is the day I moved down here. I'll never forget it. I go down the beach to the Bramble Access in Seagrove, trailer behind my Jeep. I walked down there, and it was literally sun was setting, the last little glimmer of the sun going down, and it was literally, Mike, like a light switch, just a total calming about my decisions to do what I did, because I had friends that worked with me. And they, my decision, even though I gave them 6 months, it was on me. They had to go find and seek new careers, and they're all happy now. We're all still great friends, but I took responsibility for them, putting them on different paths. So I had a lot of self-doubt when I went down here, but as soon as my feet hit the sand and I saw that sun dip down in Seagrove that day, it was like, all right, it's time to do work. And I didn't know exactly what I was going to do to find the next path, but I found it now. And super thankful for the community, because the community has supported me from day one in everything that I've done. You and Angela have supported me since day one. So super thankful for the friends and family that I have and I've made down here. So definitely not looking in the rear view at all about decisions I've made to come and call 30A my home.
Yeah. Well, for anyone who would love to learn more about Scott and his music, go to DJ30A.com. You're going to find him up and down here along Scenic Highway 30A, whether it's at the Pearl or Fish Out of Water this season. We expect and hope and pray this pandemic passes us soon and we all get back to normal. And when we do, if you're coming down, whether it's to book a wedding or an event, please visit DJ30A.com. That said, even if you are not coming down or not able to attend an event, you can still enjoy his music. And Scott, I think that we should do another roundtable soon where we talk about the 4-hour work week and how it affected our lives. And also, I do want to mention that Scott is one of our 30A supporters, and I really appreciate that. We started something where we're kind of giving fans access to exclusive content behind the scenes, but not just content. We're hosting, for example, I think this coming Monday night, we're going to do our first 30A supporters happy hour. We're all going to jump on a Zoom call and interact. Just seeing Scott chime in when we're doing our supporters updates, etc., makes me realize just how many amazing stories and amazing people we have here, and we need to do a better job of sharing and telling those stories. So, Scott, I want to, number one, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for supporting 30A. But I also want to encourage anyone who is thinking about this line of work or just pulling the reset trigger and starting a new life to follow DJ30A and follow 30A and become a 30A supporter. And let's help each other and inspire each other to achieve cooler, more fulfilling and happier things in our lives. So, Scott, I know you are my neighbor down the street, so I look forward to, as soon as the quarantine lifts, we want to come hang out. But that said, in the meantime, we've got your quarantine mix that people can enjoy. And thank you for everything you do, and look forward to hanging out with you soon.
Thank you, Mike. You have a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.
All right. Talk soon. All right. So, guys, thank you for joining us for the Beach Happy podcast. We will make this available to share. So if you know someone who is an aspiring DJ or is an aspiring entrepreneur or someone who just loves music, or even someone who may just need a little 30A sunshine in their life, please share this post now. And also click get notifications to make sure you're notified every time 30A goes live. We have so many cool shows coming up, and I want to encourage you all to join us for the ride, because right now we all need a little happiness and we all need a little beach in our lives. And that's what we're going to do our best to bring to you every day and every week. So thanks again. Thanks again to Scott Lassiter for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Beach Happy.